large part of our work continues to be to provide healthcare to some of the poorest and most needy in the city. Our clinic, the Usizu Lueto Sebaya Clinic, delivered 21,000 consultations at the site here at the Dennis Hurley Centre. And 42% of those patients were refugees or foreign nationals, and a very large number children, 16% aged under 5. But in addition to that was the work that the clinic team did out on the streets, doing outreach work in some of the poorest parts of the city where homeless people are living at the side of the road. 6,000 consultations were done for homeless people. 61% of the people we saw were drug addicts, and astonishingly 12% of them aged under 21. We also did voluntary counselling and testing for HIV and for TB. Sadly, over 20% of the men we tested and 27% of the women tested positive. What's extraordinary, though, across all of this work is the efficiency with which it's done. It's done with great care, with great professionalism, but also without spending a lot of money. In fact, if you take the full cost of running the clinic, paying the staff, paying for medicines, providing the space for it to work, the transportation and so on, it works out as little more than 50 Rand for every consultation that we did. The charts show how there's been an astonishing increase in demand for the services that we provide at the clinic, and also the age range of the people we see, both male and female, in the clinic and out on the streets. The outreach clinics are really important because they're usually providing healthcare to people who otherwise would have no access to it. For example, at the terrible informal settlement around the Dalton Beer Hall, where each week we're providing a clinic and hope soon to be providing a permanent clinic in a converted container. And that work has been done by a staff base of only 6.5 people, but greatly enhanced by the benefit of volunteers coming from the UK, from America, but also here from South Africa. That work that we do in the clinic, and particularly the outreach work, reminds me of another phrase from Popolorum Progressio. There are certainly situations whose injustice cries out to heaven. And part of our work has been to draw the attention of the municipality and of the local press to some of the injustices in the city. In particular, for example, during the World AIDS Conference, when so many people came from around the world to discuss and to explore ways of improving the situation for people affected by HIV and AIDS. But the city, in trying to clean up the streets, as they say, for the conference, actually made this healthcare of some people worse. They took people who are HIV positive and moved them off the streets, cut them off from their medicines, and left them in a vulnerable position. But we were able to draw attention to that. And thanks to Al Jazeera television, we had film footage of people who'd been affected by this and who were crying out for the injustice that people would hear. But it's not all doom and gloom. There are good signs of progress on the horizon, including better partnership with the municipality. And also a good relationship with the police force. Inevitably, sometimes we come into conflict with the police, but also we see that the police, some members of the police force, want to work with us and want to understand that it's not just about inequality of possessions, but also inequality of power. As I said, government officials are beginning to recognize that they can mobilize people to form a more effective solidarity in the city. It was in fact the government that were able to fund a great survey that we did earlier this year with the Human Science Research Council, looking at how many homeless people there were in Durban. It produced some quite astonishing statistics. 4,000 people either sleeping rough or sleeping in shelters just in central Durban every night. But that many of them, though we call them homeless, are not really homeless. They have homes, often in other parts of Durban or other parts of KZN, but for some reason have become cut off from their families. But the most shocking thing in that statistic was to discover how many people are homeless because they came to Durban looking for work and they didn't find work. And that for so many people, simply getting access to employment is what is needed to get them off the streets. As I said, that was a collaboration with the municipality, and we're grateful to the Safer Cities Department of the eThekwini municipality for funding that research. We're also delighted that the Department of Health in the municipality is now finally actively working with our clinic, and as of February of 2017 is now providing medicines for the clinic. And of course the municipality has also funded the great museum which we've just opened at the Dennis Hurley Centre, telling about the life and the mission of Dennis Hurley and how we continue to work with him. But there's lots of scope for further partnership with the municipality. And we hope over this next year we will see them working more closely with us in the revitalisation of the mall and the wider area around our building, in the provision of basic services to the homeless, in regulating the quality of shelters in this city, and also in addressing some of the issues of bad policing or bad police that make the situation for homeless people much worse in the city than it need be.